Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collingwood for YouTube. I decided to take some time and do a video. And I'm going to do a video about A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. I've talked to you guys about characters, right? Well, today it's going to be a discussion about Babyface and Heel. Now, Babyface and Heel are on two sides of the scale. There's the good, there's the bad, and there's the in between. The main protagonist in this story, the male protagonist, we'll say, is being tempted by Freddy Krueger. I got the brains, you got the body. Meaning he wants this young man's body to come back. The young man's fighting it. Freddy's Revenge is its title in every way. It's Freddy's Revenge. This is Freddy's revenge on humanity, or whatever you want to say it is. Or his revenge on the... I don't think this is just revenge on the Elm Street children, is what I'll say. That's where this movie is, to me, more of a worldview of Freddy. You want to look at a movie where Freddy... Remember in the remake where Freddy was global? And in some ways Freddy's dead too, where every town has an Elm Street? Really, the first movie to introduce that concept to me is this film, Part 2. Because when Freddy comes out of the boy's body and basically is the boy, and he kills his friend. Okay, Freddy kills the boy's friend. The boy allowed it, by this point the boy's already killed his gym teacher, who was a bit of a dick. There's a tipping point with this scale. The further you tip to one side, the harder it is to get it back to the other. And the further you tip, and you go all the way tilt evil, well, then don't bother going back. My problem with The Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 isn't its sexuality. Oh no. My problem with The Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, I have no problem with this kid becoming Freddy. Nope. That's fine. The female protagonist, she says, I love you. I believe her. I believe her. Here's the problem with this. I don't care. I don't care. Want to know why? What have I talked about with the remake? Once you've killed people, it's over. My favorite, I'm going to use one of my favorite Western of all time as a comparison here. Humor me. In the movie Once Upon a Time in the West, Henry Fonda plays a villain called Frank. He massacres this man, this woman, this girl, this other boy. All that's left is this little boy. And there's these people, these men walking towards this little boy. And you don't know who these men are. The camera slowly turns and you see it's Henry Fonda. Now, Henry Fonda never played a villain up to this point. To get to the point, one of Frank's henchmen asked, what are we going to do with this one, Frank? Frank spits his tobacco and says, now that you've called me by name. He points his gun, smiles sinisterly, and plugs the kid. There's no going back. And they don't attempt to go back. Once all that happens, there's no going back. There's no going back for Frank, ever. It doesn't matter what happened in the past. It doesn't matter what happened prior. Once Frank is now, who's played by the late, great Henry Fonda, is full tilt evil, there's no going back. He just murdered a family, an entire family. You get my drift? Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. The gym teacher, you could say, you might let that slide, right? Here's where the full tilt really happens. In the bedroom where his friend, and no, it wasn't his best friend, but it was his friend nonetheless. It was someone he bonded with. Falls asleep. Freddy comes out the boy's body, murders his friend. You'd say, well, he doesn't murder the girl. No. But that's the issue. I don't care if his girlfriend was the Virgin Mary at that point. There's no redeeming now. He just murdered his friend. Screw the gym teacher. He just murdered his friend. My problem with The Nightmare on Elm Street is it's too cute. Part 2 is it gets too cute. For as dark as it is, we're now trying to sell you that this boy is salvageable when really he's not. There's no salvage left. There just isn't. There's no point to take it back to the bus and have you believe. And that's its biggest issue. If you're going to if you're going to turn someone heel, if you're going to resurrect Freddy, air quotes, turn him back and with this boy, this young man, and you've already went full tilt, there's no going back. I think sometimes horror movies, or even their sequels, try to not necessarily just outthink themselves, but outdo the previous installment. And considering you're going off the original after this, I could somewhat understand. But sometimes you got to step back and realize, but you know what? This guy's already evil. He's already killed. Why are we trying to redeem him? Again, what did I say about Once Upon a Time in the West? They make no effort to redeem Frank. I'll give a great example again. Mrs. McBain, who Frank's henchmen try to kill, the only person who saves her is Harmonica, played by the late, great Charles Bronson. They kidnap the girl. They kidnap this woman, Mrs. McBain, the new Mrs. McBain, who shows up from New Orleans. They kidnap her. Frank's got her. Frank undresses her, is taking his fingers across his back. He's taunting her. He says, I'm no good as a husband to you. There's so many simple solutions. He's basically threatening to kill her. He doesn't because he needs her to sell the land. To him. Killing her would just be bad for business. He's not killing her because he wants to spare her. He's not killing her because he can't. And there's a difference. Deep down he knows he can't. But he needs to sell to her that he could if he wanted to. And he does. There's a difference between artistic story and trying to drop an anvil on a tilt scale that you've already tilted evil. Drop an anvil on the good side to turn it back the other way. It didn't matter if that girl loved him, because here's the thing. They didn't sell me enough that he loved her. Sure, he wanted to sleep with her, but love? Nah, sorry, you didn't sell that one to me. Heels. Turning that kid heel having him become Freddy. That was genius. Be Me, when they're in the steel mill, when she's, I love you. You want to give a real, they give a nod to one by taking it back to the bus and make you think everything's okay, just like they did in the original when Nancy walked out the house. So they're trying to give a nod to one, a huge nod, right? That's this movie's problem. Instead of giving one nod, give another. Yes, it's how many years later. Now I'm bitching about this. But this is my problem with part two. It tries to outthink itself when it didn't need to. The kid's a heel. Let him be one. Let him be one. That's my problem with heels these days. Heels aren't heels. They're half-hearted heels. Except for Michael Myers. That's the only one seems to not, who they're not trying to drop an anvil on and turn good. And if they did, I couldn't fucking believe them, right? There would be no believability. You don't turn someone babyface when it's too late. Be Me, when they're in that steel mill, she tells him, I love you. Oh, I love you too. Then we see the look on her face. Her eyes go wide. Then you hear Robert's voice. You're my girlfriend now, bitch. He's killed her. He's killed her. They would have done that. I would have applauded that. Because Freddy's deceptive. It's not deceptive. You're not being deceptive when you try to convince me you've given this boy a redemption story. When we all know it's bullshit. Don't try to fool yourselves. Because you're not fooling an audience with that. You're just not. You're not. I'm sorry, you're not sorry. Point being, the scale is always balanced. If you're going to tip it one way or the other, make sure you don't tip it so far you can't bring the character back. And if you do tip it, then stay the course. Stay the course. There's nothing. I think sometimes with horror, and part two isn't the only one. I've talked about the remake doing the same thing. Same issue. And I'll even use Freddy's Dead as an example. Does it matter that Freddy's a father? What does her daughter, his daughter is the best example of this. He's trying to convince her that it wasn't his fault. We all know it's bullshit. And she's saying pretty much what the audience is saying. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. You're bullshit. You're full of shit. Bravo. That's what makes her a protagonist and Freddy not. Freddy is not meant to be an anti-hero. Freddy's meant to be a heel. No matter whose body you're putting him through, he's meant to be a heel. I don't care who plays Freddy Krueger, who attempts to play Freddy Krueger. If you're a writer, producer, please, for fuck's sake, do not tilt this character one direction and then try to tilt him back the other. Because it's bullshit. It's 1000% bullshit. It just is. It really, really is. So, I hope I've been informative with this video on what my issue is with the movie. And really what, in general, is my issue with heels and baby faces these days. Everybody wants to live on that shades of gray, in that middle of that tilt scale. Sorry, you can't live there depending on what character you are and what franchise you're from. Does Michael Myers live in in the middle of that tilt scale? No. Okay. I'm going to give a great example before I leave. Barnabas. Barnabas is in the middle of that tilt scale to me. Here's why. Yes, he kidnaps Maggie Evans, okay? But he doesn't kill Maggie Evans. He doesn't attempt to kill her. And to me, you want to know the biggest bullshit I call with this, with Barnabas? He was never going to kill her. He said about it, sure, but I never bought it. I never bought it. Because deep down, I know one thing. Barnabas would never have the heart to kill anyone who looked like Josette. And to him, Maggie looks like Josette. And you know what told me that? When Barnabas talks to Josette's portrait when he comes out of the coffin. I knew he wasn't going to kill her. Oh, sure, he could threaten it all he likes. But I know it's not true. By the way, here's a guy who has enormous powers, can kill you in a second. She's laying on a beach. He could just reach down and snap her neck. He hears a voice and disappears. It wouldn't have took him 5 seconds to snap her neck. He doesn't. He doesn't even bother to try. Why? Because he has no intent on killing her. And once he realizes, once they tell him, they lie to him, say that she's dead, they don't know that he's the one that kidnapped her. He's given this, oh, what did I do look? I think I went too far. And Willie is sort of his his Jiminy Cricket subconscious plucking away at his ear. We killed that girl Barnabas. They didn't really, but they don't know that. If you keep a character gray, then keep a character gray, like they did Barnabas. Don't tilt the scale so far you can't bring it back, and that's the best example I can give. The first person Barnabas ever kills that we see kill is Jason McGuire, and Jason McGuire is a son of a bitch con artist. I wanted Jason to die, so there you go. That's still keeping the character in the middle. Alright, I hope I've been informative. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a good day.